Imagine an old photograph, its edges curled and its surface faded by time. It was found deep within an archive in Jerusalem, tucked away in a simple wooden box. The picture, taken around 1920, shows a group of men and women standing near the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Their faces are proud. Their clothing is a mix of local Palestinian styles and hints of African textiles. These are the faces of the AL-ABEED, a small but ancient community of Afro-Palestinians. For centuries, their story has been a quiet one, often overlooked in the grand narratives of the region. Their history is deeply woven into the fabric of Palestine, yet they have often been left in the shadows. The name itself, Al-ABEED, can be difficult to hear. In Arabic, it translates to the slaves, a label that carries the heavy weight of a painful past. Many in the community today prefer not to use this term, choosing instead to identify simply as Afro-Palestinian. Understanding the name is the first step to understanding their journey. It points to a history of servitude and difference that marked their experience for generations. This essay seeks to answer a simple but profound question. Who are the people of this community? Why has their story so often been left untold? We will journey through time, guided by the very things they left behind. We will use old photographs like the one we just imagined, listen to the crackle of recorded oral histories, and read the delicate script of letters sent between family members long ago. These are not just artifacts. They are windows into real lives. They show us moments of joy, evidence of struggle, and the quiet dignity of a community that has held on to its identity against all odds. As we look and listen, we will piece together a story that moves from the distant past to the present day, a story that deserves to be told with respect and care. It's a story about what it means to belong, to remember, and to hope. Our journey is not just about looking back. It is also about understanding today. On this day, October 17th, 2025, the descendants of the people in that old photograph continue to live, work, and dream in the same neighborhoods their ancestors called home. They are teachers, artists, activists, community elders. By exploring their history, we are not just learning about the past. We are also honoring the living, breathing community that exists now. We are invited to see beyond the single story of conflict and discover the rich, diverse tapestry of people who make up Palestine. This is the untold story of Al-ABEED. To understand the Afro-Palestinian community, we must travel back centuries, long before the lines on modern maps were ever drawn. People from the vast continent of Africa have journeyed to the lands of the Eastern Mediterranean for thousands of years. Their reasons were as varied as the people themselves. Some were devout pilgrims, traveling from Chad, traveling from Nigeria, traveling from Senegal, traveling from Sudan to pray at the holy sites of Jerusalem. Their faith drew them across deserts and seas. One old document from the 15th century, a pilgrim's travel log, describes a man named Omar from the Bornu Empire, who settled near the Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary, dedicating his life to religious service. Others arrived as traders, part of the bustling networks that connected Africa with the Middle East. They brought with them goods, ideas, and their culture. They established families and small communities in coastal cities like Jaffa and Acre. There were also soldiers and guards, men who came to serve in the armies of various empires, from the Mamluks to the Ottomans. Their presence is noted in military records and payroll ledgers, showing their integration into the structures of power and society. Each of these arrivals added another layer to the story, another thread in the community's rich fabric. A more difficult part of this history involves the arrival of people who did not come by choice. Over several centuries, some Africans were brought to Palestine as enslaved people or indentured servants. They worked in homes, on farms, or as guards for wealthy families. This is the origin of the name Al-ABEED, a painful reminder of a time when people were treated as property. Archival records, like property deeds from the 18th and 19th centuries, sometimes list enslaved individuals by name. These individuals and their descendants, over time, gained their freedom and formed the core of the community we know today. These different streams of migration, pilgrims, traders, soldiers, and the enslaved, slowly merged. Over generations, they settled, intermarried with the local Arab population, and became an inseparable part of Palestinian society. They established roots in specific neighborhoods, most famously in the African Quarter, adjacent to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City, a community space gifted to them by an Indian prince in the 13th century. While their origins were diverse, their new home gave them a shared identity. They were no longer just from Sudan or Chad. They were now Palestinians, their African heritage a unique and cherished part of their new life in this ancient land. Life within the Afro-Palestinian community was, and still is, a vibrant blend of traditions. In cities like Jerusalem, Jericho, Jaffa, community members took on work that was essential to the daily rhythm of life. Many men served as guards and custodians at the holy sites, particularly at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. This was a role of great honor and responsibility, passed down through families for generations. An old employment ledger from 1935 lists names like Jibril and Fatima, noting their duties as gatekeepers and cleaners. Others worked in the bustling markets as bakers, butchers, and artisans, their lives intertwined with the economic pulse of their cities. Their contributions were a part of the everyday landscape. Family life was the heart of the community, a space where traditions were protected and passed down. Homes were filled with the rich aromas of cooking that blended African and Palestinian flavors. She would sing old songs from the land of her ancestors while she ground the spices, Halima recalled. One popular dish, for example, is a spicy stew that uses ingredients and techniques reminiscent of East African cuisine, but is served with local bread. In an oral history recording from 1988, an elder named Halima describes her grandmother's kitchen. She would sing old songs from the land of her ancestors. While she ground the spices, Halima recalled, the songs were about the river, about the harvest. For us, the food and the music were one. Music and dance are perhaps the most powerful expressions of the community's unique cultural identity. Songs carried stories, histories, and emotions that words alone could not express. Traditional music often featured distinctive rhythms played on drums and other percussion instruments, accompanied by call and response singing. These performances were central to weddings, religious festivals, and community gatherings. An old audio recording from the 1970s captures the sound of a wedding procession in the African Quarter, the air alive with drumming and joyous ululations. This music was not just entertainment, it was a living archive, a way of keeping the connection to a distant African past alive in the heart of Palestine. These traditions of work, food, and music were not practiced in isolation. The Afro-Palestinian community was deeply integrated into the wider society. Children played in the streets with their Arab neighbors, families attended the same mosques, and everyone shared in the joys and sorrows of life in a complex and often turbulent region. This mixing created a unique cultural identity, distinctly Afro-Palestinian. It was a testament to their ability to hold on to their heritage while fully embracing their home. They were not strangers in a strange land. They were a vital part of the diverse mosaic that made up Palestine. The story of Al-ABEED is not without its shadows. The very name points to a history of slavery servitude that left a lasting mark. Even after abolition in the Ottoman Empire in the 19th century, the social stigma remained. For many years, Afro-Palestinians faced discrimination limiting their opportunities and making daily life a struggle. This prejudice was subtle but pervasive, in social interactions, in employment, in marriage prospects. People with darker skin were treated as outsiders, their contributions overlooked despite deep roots in the land. Archival documents reveal this truth. Imagine a letter from the 1940s, written by a young Afro-Palestinian named Ahmed to his brother abroad. He describes difficulty finding work beyond manual labor, despite finishing school. They see my face, and they see a servant, not a clerk, his frustration in faded ink. School records show children seated separately or given less attention by teachers. These archival details paint systemic inequality. The struggle was not just economic, it was social and emotional. Elders recall being called names in the street or denied entry to some shops. Fatima Mahmoud recalled in 2005,
"You have two battles to fight, one for being Palestinian and one for being black.
She taught resilience, but it was not always easy. That dual struggle shaped identity, forged solidarity, and created the painful awareness of being seen as other. This history explains the community's resilience. It shows what they had to overcome: daily slights, limited opportunities, and the burden of a name not chosen. In the face of hardship and discrimination, the Afro-Palestinian community demonstrated a powerful and enduring resilience. This strength was not found in grand political statements preserving their culture, supporting one another, cultivating strong local leadership. Their spirit was unbreakable because it was rooted in who they were. Culture became a shield and a source of pride. The songs, the dances, the stories. When the community gathered to play music, it was an act of defiance. Local leaders emerged from within the community. One such figure was Ali Jitta. A photograph from the 1980s shows him speaking to a group of international visitors. His expression passionate as he shares the history of his neighborhood. Leaders like him work to improve living conditions, secure better educational opportunities for children, give a voice to the community's concerns. They organized community centers, provided support for families in need, served as a bridge between their community and the wider Palestinian society. Art and creativity also became powerful tools of resilience. Younger generations began to express their identity through new forms. Musicians started blending traditional African rhythms with modern genres like hip-hop, creating a sound that was uniquely their own. Visual artists used painting and photography, exploring identity, belonging, and justice. These artistic expressions allowed them to tell their own stories in their own voices, challenging the stereotypes that had long defined them. An archival flyer for a community arts festival in 2010 showcases this vibrancy: poets, musicians, dancers. This resilience was also deeply connected to the broader Palestinian national movement. Afro-Palestinians have always seen their struggle as intertwined with the struggle of all Palestinians for freedom and self-determination. They participated in protests, joined political organizations, and made sacrifices for the collective cause. Their involvement was a powerful assertion of their identity as Palestinians. First and foremost, in group photos from demonstrations in the 1970s and the 1980s, you can see Afro-Palestinian faces in the crowd, standing shoulder to shoulder with their fellow countrymen. Their fight was not separate. It was an integral part of the larger story of Palestine. Today, on October 17, 2025, the Afro-Palestinian community is looking toward the future with a renewed sense of hope and purpose. While the challenges of discrimination and political instability remain, a new generation is rising, armed with education technology, deep pride in their heritage. They are not waiting for others to tell their story. They are actively researching, documenting, and sharing it with the world. Young scholars are digging into archives, interviewing elders, creating digital records of their community's history, ensuring it will not be lost or forgotten. This work is a bridge between the past and the future. This new generation is finding powerful ways to express their identity. Musicians like Moody Kablawi are creating music that fuses hip-hop with traditional sounds. Filmmakers are producing documentaries that shed light on their community's history and contemporary life. These modern voices are reaching a wider audience than ever before, using social media and the internet to connect globally. As one young artist, Samira, said in a recent podcast interview, "For so long, our story was told for us. Now we have the microphone and we have a lot to say." Education continues to be a cornerstone of this hope. More young people from the community are pursuing higher education, entering fields like law, journalism, medicine, academia. This not only opens up new opportunities for them as individuals, but also empowers the community as a whole. With more educated and articulate representatives, they are better equipped to advocate for their rights and challenge the old prejudices that still linger. They are becoming the teachers, lawyers, and leaders who will guide their community into the next chapter, ensuring their voices are heard in the halls of power and in the classrooms where the next generation is taught. The hope for the future is not a naive dream. It is grounded in the resilience of the past. The community knows that progress is not easy, but they draw strength from the struggles of their ancestors. They are working to build a future where their children will not have to fight the same battles. a future where being Afro-Palestinian is celebrated as a unique and valuable part of the nation's diverse identity. Their hope is an active, living thing, a commitment to honoring their history while forging a new, more just and visible path forward for all the generations to come. The story of the AL-ABEED community is not a closed book. It is a living, breathing history, held in the memories of elders, the songs of musicians, and dusty boxes of archives waiting to be opened. These archives are filled with photographs, letters, official documents, recordings. They are not just for historians. They are for all of us. An invitation to look closer, to listen more deeply, to understand a part of the Palestinian story that has too often been silent. Sepia-toned photos, handwritten notes, the crackling audio of an old song. Each artifact is a piece of the puzzle, a voice from the past asking to be heard. When we engage with these archives, we do more than learn facts and dates. We connect with the humanity of the people who came before us. We see the joy in a wedding photograph from 1965, feel the hope in a school graduation certificate from 1978, and understand the pain in a letter describing injustice. These materials challenge us to move beyond simple labels and see the rich, complex lives behind them. History is not a single, simple story, but a chorus of many different voices, each with its own truth to tell. The archives are the key to hearing that chorus. Therefore, the call to action is clear. Support young Afro-Palestinian researchers and community historians preserving this history. Seek out their work, share it, amplify their voices, encourage museums to catalog these records, libraries, universities. When we travel or learn about the region, ask questions. Look for stories not told in mainstream guidebooks. Become active listeners. Create space for the community to share its own narrative. In the end, learning the untold story of AL-ABEED enriches our understanding of Palestine as a whole. Diversity is a strength. Every thread in the cultural tapestry matters. The story is one of migration, faith, struggle, incredible resilience. A human story that deserves to be known, respected, and remembered. The archives are open. The voices are there. All we have to do is take the time to look and to listen. Let us begin.